Hi guys, thanks for coming back to another video. Okay, so as promised, we're getting ready to start going in through so that we can start following these videos and seeing who the characters are in this big story that we're going to be unraveling for the next several videos. This is going to be a foundational video. This is one that is going to discuss lineage. It's going to discuss the characters of our story and how they got where they were, okay? Not in terms of movement, but in terms of coming into the story. So we're going to take a look at a couple of things here first. I know it may seem, oh man, I don't want to have to sit through all this lineage. It's not going to be very long. We're only going to look at scriptures that we absolutely need to look at to identify who the characters are and to understand the foundation parts of the story. From that, we're going to go ahead and start following then the trail that the Lord has been talking to us about in regards to the Irish and all of that. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started. I think we're going to go ahead and start in Genesis 29. So let's just look at that. The only reason why I'm saying Genesis 29 is because we're going to start with Jacob. Jacob had 12 sons. These are identified as the 12 tribes. And so we're just looking at Jacob married Leah and he married Rachel. Okay. So Rachel was not able to have any children for quite some time, but Leah was having children. Leah gave Leah, I believe, birthed 6 sons and a daughter. Okay. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun are the sons that Leah gave birth to with Jacob. Okay, so we're going to pick it up in the story here that Rachel still had not children, and she's saying to Jacob, "Give me children, or else I die." And Jacob basically is saying to her, "Am I God that I can, control this?" And so she basically says, "Here's my maid, Bilhah. Please go into her, and she'll bear a child for me so that I may have children by her." She gave the maid as a wife, and she actually did conceive, and she bore a son, and the son's name was Dan. So Rachel said, "God has judged my case, and he has also heard my voice and has given me a son." Well, the name Dan actually means judgment, or judged by God. It either means judgment or judged by God. And so Rachel is saying here, God has judged my case. And so that is the reason why she named him Dan. Now, her maid gave birth to a second son, and that one was named Naphtali. Okay, so when Leah had seen that that Bilhah, the maid, had stopped bearing children, she took her own maid and gave it to Jacob as a wife. And then this maid, Zilpah, bore Jacob 2 sons, Gad and Asher. So now, it seems like there was a lot of jealousy here. I'm not sure exactly what all's going on, but we're going to pick up something down here. So now Reuben, who was the firstborn of Leah, okay, he was the firstborn, went in the days of wheat harvest and found mandrakes in the field, and he brought them to his mother Leah. Then Rachel said to Leah, "Please give me some of your son's mandrakes." But she said to her, "Is it a small matter that you have taken away my husband, that you now want to take away my son's mandrakes also?" So we can tell that there's a hint of jealousy here. And Rachel said, "Well, therefore he will lie with you tonight for your son's mandrakes." So, it's interesting, the dynamics of more than one wife. I don't know how they balanced it all out and how it all worked out, but it appears that there was some bumpy parts to it as well. So when Jacob came out of the field, he did indeed go in and laid with Leah, and she conceived another son. She bore him a 5th son, but this is actually the 9th one born in order of birth, but the name was Issachar. And Leah conceived again and got another son, and this one was Zebulun. So then God remembered Rachel, okay? And afterward the daughter came in, Dinah. So then God remembered Rachel. He listened to her, and he opened her womb, and she conceived and bore a son. God has taken away my reproach, and so she called his name Joseph. And the Lord shall add to me another son, and indeed she will receive another son, and his name is going to be called Benjamin. So, understanding Jacob's 12 sons, they are the tribes, okay? Joseph being the one with the coat of many colors, you guys remember that, and then the tribe of Benjamin, the last two born under Jacob. Okay. All right. Now let me look at my notes so that I can keep up. Now, I think where we're going to go now is we're going to take a look at Genesis 49, because we want to take a look and see what Jacob's last words to his sons were before he died. So listen to the words that are here. And Jacob called his sons and said, "Gather together, that I may tell you what shall befall you when? In the last days." Okay. So he is giving them their blessings type of thing, but he is also trying to tell them, he's prophesying over them. He's telling them what's getting ready to happen. So now here we see Reuben, "You are my firstborn," right? But now we know that Reuben lost his firstborn rights. He did something that he should not have done. He went in and laid with his father's concubine, and that was a no-no. And so that is something to where he lost his firstborn rights, and the firstborn rights were given to Joseph's two boys, Ephraim and Manasseh, and we'll see that as we're going through later on. But Judah was the one that was identified as being the lawgiver, and Judah, who was fourth in order of birth, is now the one that is taking the lead with the tribes. Okay? So he is not the firstborn. He is not given the firstborn rights. He is the lawgiver, and he is the one that is taking the lead with the tribes. Okay? So let's see what we have here. He's blessing his sons, and he's telling them what's getting ready to happen. So let's just look at Judah's. Judah's is down here from verse 8 to about 10. And there's some interesting information in here that we want to make ourselves aware of. So Judah, "You are he whom your brothers shall praise. Your hand shall be on the neck of your enemies. Your father's children shall bow down before you. Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, you have gone up. He bows down, and he lies down as a lion. And as a lion, who shall rouse him? The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh comes, and to him shall be the obedience of the people. Okay, unto who? Unto him. Take a look, capital H. Okay, Shiloh comes. So when we're looking at the definition of Shiloh, Shiloh is generally understood as denoting the Messiah, the peaceful one, right? Messiah, the peaceful one. Now I went into Blue Letter Bible, and I just clicked on that word Shiloh, because I wanted to read something here. That which the scepter shall not depart from Judah until tranquility shall come, and the peoples shall obey him. Then let him bind, etc. For example, Judah shall not lay down the scepter of ruler until his enemies be subdued, and he shall rule over many people. An expectation belonging to the kingdom of the Messiah, who was to spring up from the tribe of Judah. Okay, let's say that again. An expectation belonging to the kingdom of Messiah, who was to spring up from the tribe of Judah. Okay. Others whom I followed, okay, and it goes into to talk about this. Now, some people will say, well, the Lord Jesus Christ was from the tribe of Judah. That's where his bloodline was. Yes, it was. But it is something else that I am wanting you to keep in mind. The scepter has not departed from the tribe of Judah yet. Think about this, guys. The scepter has not departed from the tribe of Judah yet. Okay? So, if this is talking about when the Messiah came in the first time, then why does the tribe of Judah still have the scepter? Okay, now we're going to talk about that a little bit more, but this is something that I just wanted you to keep in mind. Okay, let's go back to the blessings and let's go down to see what Dan was. This is all 12. You guys can read it. I'm just going through just a few of them, okay? 16 to 18, this is Dan. Dan shall judge his people. Okay. Dan shall judge his people. As one of the tribes of Israel. Dan shall be the serpent by the way, a viper in the path that bites the horse's heels so that its rider shall fall backward. Now that's something. But look what number 18 says. I have waited for your salvation, O Lord. I have waited for your salvation, O Lord. Now I'm thinking, well, what in the world is that all about? So then let's go back into Blue Letter Bible here, and let's take a look at where Dan is, because that's something strange, isn't it? So let's take a look. Let me see. Where is it? Here it is. Here it is. I have waited for thy salvation, O Lord. Let's pull up what thy salvation is. Deliverance. Victory. Deliverance. So notice what's being connected to Dan here, okay? That's quite a statement that's being given to him. He will judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Okay. Quite an interesting statement. Let's take a look at what Joseph is. He is a fruitful bough. A fruitful bough by a well, his branches run over the wall. I thought that was interesting and something that we probably want to keep in mind. And then the last one I just want to point out to you here is Benjamin is a wolf. Benjamin is a wolf. Okay. He's being identified as a wolf here. So all of these are the tribes of Israel. And this is what their father spoke to them. Can you imagine? Can you imagine having some of this information spoken to you from your father on his deathbed? That this is, I mean, would they even be able to understand it all? I don't know. But this is pretty interesting information. Okay, so we're moving on. We're not lollygagging. We're going to move right on. We're going to go into Genesis 38 because now we're just going to start talking about Judah. We're going to start talking about that particular tribe, what all was going on, what was happening, and bringing up this young lady's name again, Tamar, okay? We talked about her with those two twins, but I think it's important that we go in and we see what's happening with her. We see where these kids came from. We understand what's going on with it, okay? So, Genesis 38. And it came to pass at that time that Judah departed from his brothers and visited a certain Adulamite whose name was Harah. And Judah saw there a daughter of certain Canaanite whose name was Shua. And he married her and went into her, and she conceived and bore a son. And his name was Okay? She conceived again, and his name was Onan, and she conceived again, and his name was Shelah. Okay. So Judah has 3 sons at this point. So then Judah took a wife for his firstborn, and her name was Tamar. Okay. So his firstborn son gets married to Tamar. But Judah's firstborn was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord killed him. And so Judah said to Onan, his second son, "Go into your brother's wife and marry her and raise up an heir to your brother." But Onan knew that the heir would not be his, and so when it came to pass, he messed around and he didn't do what he was asked to do. And this displeased the Lord, and therefore he killed him also. So here Tamar has done worked her way through 2 of Judah's sons. So now Judah's like, Tamar, remain a widow at your father's house until my last son, my 3rd son, Shelah, is grown. For he said, lest he also die like his brothers. And Tamar went and dwelt in her father's house. Okay. So now in the process that Judah's wife died, Judah was comforted, and he went up to the sheep shearers, and he saw his friend Hira. And it was told to Tamar, saying, "Look at your father-in-law going up to this area to shear the sheep." And so she took off her widow's garment, she covered herself with a veil, and she wrapped herself up. And she sat in an open place which was on the way that he would have to pass. And he saw her. For she saw that the 3rd son was grown, and that she was not given to him as a wife. So when Judah saw her sitting out in the open, she's all covered up, she's got a veil, she's covered her face, he thought she was a harlot. And so he turned to her by the way and said, "Please let me come in to you." But he had no idea this was his daughter-in-law. And so she says, "What will you give me?" And he said, "I will send a young goat from the flock." And she said, "Will you give me a pledge till you send it?" And he said, "Well, what pledge shall I give you?" And she said, "Your signet and cord and your staff that is in your hand." Okay, guys, your signet and cord and your staff that is in your hand. And he gave them to her, and he went into her, and she conceived. And so she arose and went away, and laid aside her veil, and put on her garments of widowhood. Okay, so let's just stop it right there for a moment, okay? This is what she asked as surety, okay? That goat would come back to her. She's holding on to some of his stuff, okay? So let's take a look at this. In Genesis 38, I'm going into Blue Letter Bible because I want to take a look at these Strongs, and we're going to go down to see where that was. I should have looked at the verse. Here it is. What pledge shall I give? And he said, thy signet, thy bracelets, and thy staff. Now, guys, I'm going to tell you, when I saw this today, I said, oh my goodness, you're kidding me, right? Because I just shared a message from the Lord, and he just gave me some information, right? So thy signet, well, what is that? Let's take a look. It's a seal. It's a signet ring, some type of sealing ring, okay? Now, I'm finding that to be very, very interesting. Let's see what it says. Hebrews were accustomed, like the Persians in the present day, sometimes to carry a signet ring hung by a string upon the breast. Okay, all right, so we've got a seal. That is something that we've seen and heard before. Let's take a look about what else. And a bracelet. Now, the Lord just said something to me about a bracelet. Let's click into that and see what this is. It's a cord. It's a thread, a twisted thread. Now, guys, this is very, very interesting. I need you to just kind of see how all of this is now going to start coming together. So a thread, okay, a string by which a seal ring was suspended, or it could have been a bracelet bound around the wrist, but it's some type of thread, wire, some type of cord, twisted cord. Okay, here it says bracelet, lace lined, ribboned thread, wire, could be any of those. All right, so that's real interesting. And so then what was the last thing that he gave her? His staff. Well, let's take a look at that. Now, when I pulled that up, take a look at this. Staff, branch, tribe, rod. Now, shaft. Now, guys, listen. When I see branch and rod, and then B says branch of the vine, and then C says tribe, my mind goes immediately, guys, I'm telling you, my mind goes immediately to Isaiah 11, right? Let me see if I've got Isaiah 11 pulled up. Let me see. I may not. Let's just pull it up right here. Because of the branch and the rod, right? The root of Jesse, right? Let's just pull it up. I hope my internet's running. We've just come through a hurricane. Here we go. Isaiah 11. What's it say? There shall come forth a rod from the stem of Jesse, and a branch will grow out of its roots. Okay. The Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, counsel and might, knowledge, and the fear of the Lord. Okay, so this is where my mind went to. Guys, let's also look down here. A branch, figure, a tribe, also a rod, whether for chastening, ruling like a scepter. Okay, now we just saw that word. Throwing a lance or walking like a walking staff, support of life, but rod, staff, tribe. Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay. In this particular way, I believe it's being identified as like some type of a scepter. Okay, but I want you to keep those other names in mind, because as we start moving down this little road and this little story that that the Lord is showing us, that has been hidden somehow, you're going to want to remember this. Okay, all right. So a branch or a twig, very interesting. So here, where is it that I wanted here? A tribe of the people. Specially used as a rod of a king, a scepter, a soldier's spear, a rod used in chastening, a tribe. Guys, you know, when I looked at this today and I said, that's what she asked for a pledge. That's what she asked as a surety from him. His seal, his bracelet, and his scepter. Okay? Now, it is no coincidence. Okay? I need to tell you this. I've said it time and time again. It is no coincidence that these items are the ones that are spoken of. It is no coincidence that the Lord just told me something in a message earlier today. Okay? So, let's continue on. So she arose, she took his stuff, and she left. Okay? So, she went on her way. She did conceive. And she went on her way. So now Judah sent the young goat by the hand of his friend, the Adullamite, and to receive his pledge from the woman's hand. but he did not find her. He wanted his stuff back, but the guy couldn't find her. So then they asked all the people around, where is the harlot who was so open in the roadway? And they said that there's no harlot in this place. So his friend returned back to Judah and said, listen, I can't find her. And also the men in the place said there was no harlot there. So then Judah said, well, let her take them for herself, lest we be shamed. For I sent this young goat, and you have not found her. Okay, so basically he is saying, well, she can keep that stuff then. I'll figure something else out. And so it came to pass after 3 months that Judah was told, saying, Tamar, your daughter-in-law, has played the harlot, and furthermore, she is with child by harlotry. So Judah said, bring her out and let her be burned. Now, there is something that I want to stop right there, because there is something that I need to, is this it? Hang on one second while this comes up. Here it is. The Jewish Encyclopedia. I want to talk to you about why he said that, okay? So basically, we're understanding the story as pledge of a payment. He left her his staff, seal, and this says belt. And when her condition was discovered, she was about to be burned to death in punishment for unchastity. She confronted her father-in-law with the tokens he had left her, declaring that she was with child by the man whom they belonged. Okay, and then she bore twins. Okay, but this is the information I want you to see. Tamar was the daughter of Shem, the son of Noah. Shem was a priest, and when Tamar was charged with fornication, she was condemned to be burned to death in conformity with Leviticus. Okay? So, in the house of Judah, her father-in-law, she was extremely virtuous and timid, and used to keep her face constantly covered with a veil, so that Judah failed to recognize her when he saw her sitting by the roadside. Tamar prayed to God that she might not go barren from Judah's house, and resolved upon the course which she subsequently pursued. In reply to Judah's questions, she declared that she was not... Okay, let's come back. I definitely want to come back here because, well, let's just finish it here. This will probably be better. In reply to Judah's questions, she declared that she was not a Gentile and that she was unmarried, which she was. She was not a Gentile, she was Jewish, and she was unmarried because she was a widow. And so when she had become pregnant, she was not at all ashamed of her condition, but boasted to all that she would be the mother of kings and redeemers. Okay, listen to what she boasted, and this is in... This says where it's at, okay? She boasted to all that she would be the mother of kings and redeemers. Now that's something to say, isn't it? So when charged with unchastity, she was unwilling to assert directly that she was with child by her father-in-law. She didn't want to go and humiliate him. She was really ready to die rather than incriminate him. But she was willing, however, indirectly to cause him to confess, and therefore sent him the articles which he had left her as a pledge, and which had been taken from her by Samuel and restored by Gabriel. After her innocence had been proven, Judah continued to live with her in marital relations. And I think the Bible says just a little bit different about the marital relations. Let's come back and just finish this up. Let her be burned. Okay, so that's the reason why I cut us out of there. I wanted you to see why they were saying that. That is the law that was in Leviticus. So when she was brought out, she sent to her father-in-law saying, by the man to whom these belong, I am with child. And she said, please determine whose these are, the signet and cord and staff. Okay, well, Judah had to acknowledge them. She has been more righteous than I, because I did not give her to Selah, my son, and he never knew her again. Okay, so maybe they lived as a married couple, but he never knew her again. Okay, and so now it came to pass at the time for giving birth, that the one put out his hand, and the midwife took a scarlet thread and bound it on his hand. So she was carrying twins, and one put out his hand, and she put the scarlet thread and bound it on his hand, saying, "This one came out first." Then it happened, as he drew back his hand, that his brother came out unexpectedly. And she said, "How did you break through? This breach be upon you." Therefore his name was called Perez. And afterward his brother came out, who had the scarlet thread on his hand, and his name was called Zerah. Okay, so you got two boys in there. You got to keep up with who was firstborn. Firstborn had the red ribbon wrapped around him. However, that is not the case. He went back into hiding and he didn't come out right away. Okay? All right. So let's take a look at, let me see, I already did 49. Let's take a look at this right quick. The family of Israel. Okay? So here are the sons, the tribe names. So from Judah to David, we're just going to look at a few of them, okay? So the sons of Judah were Onan, and Shelah. We know about that, right? Two of them died. This one was not offered to Tamar, right? So these three were born to him by this particular woman. That was his wife, okay? Tamar, his daughter-in-law, bore him Perez and Zerah by Judah through pretending to be a harlot, right? So all the sons of Judah were 5. So now, this guy that came out first had 2 sons. These are his sons. And Zerah, that had the red string wrapped around and came out second, had 5 sons. And these are his sons. Okay? Now this is 1 Chronicles 2, and you can go down and read the line where it talks about Boaz, it talks about Jesse, and go and read the line all the way down to David. But this is the part that I just wanted to show you right here. Okay? Now, the reason why I'm showing you that is because of an image that I want to show you, and I guess I don't have it up. Whoops, I'm sorry. My computer's doing better than I thought it was. Let's see. Let's see if this is it. Well, my goodness. Where's it at? Oh, here it is. Okay. All right. So now we're looking at the house of Judah. We're looking at Zerah. We understand who that is, right? So Zerah and Judah. Zerah from Judah. Zerah was the one with the red scarlet thread. We also see Perez, which was his brother, but he actually came out first, right? Still from the tribe of Judah. And then we also see Levi and Aaron. This is the priesthood over here. Okay? So now, this lineage is what we're going to be working down, because we want to get to where the Lord has been talking to us, okay, and showing us about the Irish and the Scots. Now take a look where they are, okay. So we have Zerah, where it happens, it breaks off and comes over here and comes into this particular line. We have Perez, that had David and David's 2 sons. We have Solomon and Nathan. From here, the Virgin Mary, and then we have the Lord Jesus Christ. On Solomon's side, we have Zedekiah and all of that crazy stuff that happened. We're going to talk about that. And then it goes down into the kings of Ireland and the kings of Scotland. Okay, so we're going to work our way down. We're going to talk about some of these. We may not go into super detail, but I wanted to make sure that we gave you enough foundation that you can see where we're going with it, okay? So this is the line of Judah, all right? You can see how it is all working down. You can see where it goes right into the royal house of Windsor, okay? This is a commonwealth. They still have a queen on the throne. This is the house of Judah and the line of Judah. So the scepter has not left the house of Judah yet. Okay? So this is the point that I want to make to you. So we're going to start working our way down because there's some really interesting information getting ready to head your way. Okay? So guys, I just want to say thank you. God bless you. Thanks for coming back. Sorry we had to go through that, but we have to know who the characters are. We have to know and have that foundation there so that we can start moving forward. Okay? So guys, God bless you. Stay under his wing. We have exciting things to talk about, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.